In this short video, we're going to learn how to solve a problem where an excise tax is levied on sellers. Let's consider the perfectly competitive market for cigarettes. Market demand is given by 30 minus 0.5p, and market supply is given by 0.5p minus 6. In these equations, Q is the number of cartons of cigarettes, and P is the price per carton in dollars. Let's also suppose that the government levies a tax of $16 per carton on sellers of cigarettes. Our goal is to determine the price buyers will pay, the price sellers will receive, and the number of cartons sold when the tax is in place. What do we need to know to answer this question? It turns out we just need the demand curve, the supply curve, and the size of the per unit tax. How do we go about solving this question? We need to make sure that we use the tax wedge condition, which tells us that the price that sellers receive is the price buyers pay minus the tax. In addition to this tax wedge condition, we also have a market clearing condition, which is that the quantity supplied at the seller price has to equal the quantity demanded at the buyer price. Let's solve this question. Here's what we know. We have a demand curve, a supply curve, and a per unit tax equal to $16. We are trying to find the price buyers pay, the price sellers receive, as well as the number of cartons sold when the tax is in place. We know that to solve this, we have to write down the tax wedge condition and the market clearing condition. The tax wedge condition in this case is that the price that sellers receive is equal to the price that buyers pay, PD, minus the tax of 16. We'll call this equation 1. The second condition is the market clearing condition. Just set demand equal to supply or supply equal to demand, whichever one you want. Making sure to keep the subscripts on your prices. Those subscripts matter and make solving this question simple instead of impossible. So we have the supply, which is 0.5 PS minus 6 is equal to the demand of 30 minus 0.5 PD. We'll call that equation 2. So I want you to notice we have two equations and we have two unknowns, the seller price and the buyer price. These are linear equations, so it's a fairly straightforward algebraic exercise from here. I'm going to substitute equation 1, the tax wedge condition, into equation 2, eliminating PS and allowing me to solve for the buyer price. So I have 0.5 times PD minus 16 minus 6 is equal to 30 minus 0.5 PD. So you've just substituted in what I know about the seller price. I have to do a little bit of simplification. I get 0.5 PD minus 0.5 times 16, which is 8, minus 6 equals 30 minus 0.5 PD. From here, we can shuffle all of our P terms to the left side of the equation. 0.5 plus 0.5 is 1. So I have PD is equal to 30 plus 14. And finally, we can conclude that the buyer price is equal to $44. And we'll call that equation 3. At this point, we're basically almost done solving this question. All we need to do is take our buyer price of $44 and substitute it into the tax wedge condition to find the seller price. So in this case, the seller price is going to be equal to the buyer price of $44 minus the tax of 16. 44 minus 16 is equal to 28. So our seller price is $28. Once we have the price that buyers pay, $44, and the price that sellers receive, $28, we have one final step. We need to use either the demand curve or the supply curve to determine the quantity sold under the tax. So in this case, we're answering that final part of the question. We're determining the number of cartons sold when the tax is in place. So it's your choice. You can take the seller price, $28, and plug it into the supply curve, or you can take the buyer price of $44 and plug it into the demand curve. Either way is going to get you the correct answer, and we know we're going to get the correct answer because we know that those two things are equal to each other, because that's what the market clearing condition, equation 2 here, does. So I'm going to use the demand curve, but you could use the supply curve. To find the quantity sold under the tax, I have 30 minus 0.5 times 44. 30 minus 22 is equal to 8. So we could say that the quantity sold under the tax is 8. So in this case, our final solution is that buyers pay $44, which is $16 higher than what sellers receive, $28, and the total number of cartons of cigarettes sold is 8.